we're going to change it up a little bit on what we're not going to do because, you know, we are going into the holiday season. Our last live show is going to be tomorrow until the beginning of 2022, which is crazy to say. But so I just wanted to get ahead of some stuff and say what we think is going to happen in the new year. So Black Monday is January 9th, January 10th. So Sunday is January 9th. So January 10th is when some coaches are going to be getting that pink slip. That's why they call it Black Monday. So I just wanted to get some predictions, see who you guys think is going to be getting that pink slip, or even if you think they're not going to get that pink slip, who you think should get that pink slip. I think first and foremost for me and probably everybody who watches football, including Chris, Matt Nagy's on the top of that list. I mean, I don't even know if is there anybody else you would put on the top of that list, Chris?
No, because when I think of firing and head coach in football, my name's like Matt Nagy, Matt Nagy, Matt Nagy, Matt Nagy. Right. So no, there is nobody above him for sure. Free my man Justin Fields.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the main thing for me is you and I just love Justin Fields so much. So I know he can't be around to no. So I'm gonna give you my prediction. Even though deep down inside, I think Matt Nagy, and I'm just going to come back to Chris for 1 second. I think Matt Nagy is going to survive. I don't think he's going to get fired.
Me too. I 100% agree with you. I 100% agree. I think just the mere fact that the what are the name? Bears, so many B teams. The mere fact that the Bears were sniffing the playoffs, that keeps them safe. That's what keeps him safe.
I think is unfortunate because that's a happenstance. That's not because of him at all, in my opinion.
Right.
He's a terrible player.
But they gonna use and I agree. But they're gonna use the excuse that he was the head coach of the team, so they're in. So yeah, I think he's gonna survive as well.
Okay, so for me, and I'm gonna get Chris's opinion. Let me just be clear. This is not a coach that I think should be on this list. But I know how it goes, unfortunately, for Black coaches, especially their first year. We just don't get the allowances that a lot like a Matt Nagy is getting. Matt Nagy should absolutely be gone, but unfortunately, Black coaches just don't get those kind of allowances. So I do think that David Culley for the Texans is going to be gone. And at first I was like, no, because I heard his name floating around about being on the hot seat. And I was like, that's asinine. He came into a dumpster fire, like literally a dumpster fire. He was an appeasement hire. They were trying to appease Deshaun Watson, who said he wanted more diversity, he wanted Black coaches. By the time they hired him, Deshaun was already checked out. By the way, you still can't convince me that whole thing wasn't a setup, but I digress. So by that time, Deshaun had checked out, and that organization has never been managed well. But then this morning, I was reading that, what's his first name? Cesario. I always call him what's the scenario, but Cesario has because I don't like him. I don't think he should have been hired at all, but he has a headset on during the game. And during the game, he is in the headset to David Culley. So now David did a press conference and he talks about now he's kind of thinking about, okay, I got to get in front of what Cesario wants me to do. So he's never really had an opportunity to coach his own game because he's worried about what Cesario is going to tell him to do, and so he's trying to do preemptive strikes. He doesn't even know who he is as a head coach, so we damn sure don't know who he is as a head coach because he hasn't been given the opportunity. And because of that, unfortunately, and because I know y'all don't like to hear it, but because he's Black now, I got to call the plays down to him. I mean, maybe we just need another coach. I feel like that's how that's gonna go. So I think he's gonna get fired. Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, I think he's ultimately going to get the boot. I think the only saving grace that he has is the fact that that team was already such a dumpster fire into the season. Yeah, right. Same wavelength. I think that's the only saving grace he has, and they might give him that shot to stay when they get a quarterback, when their Deshaun Watson situation's figured out. I think that there's a chance, but because of you know what it is. I think that he might not be the guy. They decide to let him go, and he is up there in age, in coaching years or whatever. So they might decide to go with a younger coach to coach their new younger quarterback, whoever it is that it might be, whether it's through a trade for Deshaun Watson or somebody they end up drafting. So yeah, but I think there's a possibility. But I also think that we might hear him resign more than him getting fired. But that's neither here nor there.
Okay. All right.
But you know he
have
ain't
any
actually get
coaches
resigned, Jackie. You know he's not gonna actually resign. They're gonna
be
have
one of
him
those,
say
yeah.
that. Right. It's
It's gonna be like, here go this check if you sign this resignation letter. You know, something like that. Yeah.
Right.
Do you have any thoughts on any other coaches that might be getting that pink slip?
Oh, yeah. Well, yes, since we're leaving it on coaches, yes, I have my answer. I did struggle with this one a little bit because all my choices they finally did get the boot except for Mr. Matt Nagy. I brought it down to two people, but I'm going to keep it to this one. And I think that he's gone. To have a team full of talent like this, maybe not so much the quarterback, maybe I'm just a hater, but to have a team full of this much talent and, this team has been so good for so many years and they just came stagnant this year. I'm looking at Mike Zimmer. I'm looking at Mike Zimmer of the Minnesota Vikings. Okay. I think that they finally, they just not started all over, but knowing that you have a young upcoming wide receiver in Justin Jefferson, the defense, they finally did let go of some of their older defensive guys. The defense is coming along slowly but surely, and like I said, I have my thoughts about Cousins, but that's neither here nor there. I'm looking at Mike Zimmer being one of the guys that could potentially get the boot this coming off season for sure.
Well, the chat has some interesting picks. MH says Joe Judd. He said Giants suck, and he's definitely part of the problem. He feed the fan base and fanfare over results. Stay Mad is back in the chat. If you guys did not notice, Jeremiah is back in the chat, and he says Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll is out of touch and should be fired.
Yeah, I don't know if he should be fired. They're gonna let him resign too. They're not gonna fire him.
Yeah. So, all right. So those are our picks.
Jeremiah said Frank Vogel.
I mean, I agree, but we talking NFL right now.